Scene 6 was one of my least favorite scenes in the play. It's kind of short, irrelevant. Yeah. Scene 7 is one of the best. So we're at the dinner party. Macbeth has just stepped out for fresh air, and he's going to soliloquize what's going on in his head. So I'll just let this play, and then we'll talk about it after the key parts.
If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch, with his surcease, success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all. Here, but here upon this bank and shoal of time, we'd jump the life to come. But in these cases we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions which being taught return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poisoned chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First, as I am his kinsman and his subject strong both against the deed. Then, as his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off. And pity, like a naked newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, that tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself and falls on the other.
And then Lady Macbeth is going to enter. So let's go back to the beginning and look. If it were done when 'tis done, then for a while it were done quickly. So if it has to be done, let it be done soon. This blow might be the be-all and the end-all. It might be everything. And on this bank and shoal of time, I would jump the life to come. I would jump the afterlife. I would skip the afterlife, like heaven for this. I would give up that. Instructions. These bloody instructions, these things I do, might plague the inventor. Justice might be even-handed. Just like I'm doing this to someone, someone might do this to me. So I might be teaching people how to do this. So that when he says the poison chalice to our own lip, I might be, if I'm overthrowing the king, someone could overthrow me in the same manner. I would be self-poisoning. Now, to me, in fiction and in the real world, there's two kinds of villains, two kinds of bad guys. There's the bad guys that think they're the good guys, that think they're the heroes, and there's the bad guys that know they're the bad guys. That second kind is much rarer, but they're the kind of villains I like. I like villains who are not self-aware. I like villains who understand that they're the villains. I don't like villains that are just blind to the actual realities of the world. Macbeth is the second kind. He knows he's the bad guy, and he's going to work through it. He's here in double trust. He trusts me in two different ways. First, I'm his kinsman and his subject. I'm his kin. I'm literally blood related to him. He's family. So kinslaying, this goes back in pretty much all cultures, is a huge sin to slay kin. And his subject. I'm his king too, so I'm just killing some random dude. I'm not just killing my kin. He's also the king. That's regicide. Reg, like regal. The killing of a king is that, that great chain of being, divine right of kings thing we talked about in the intro. It's like that. It's way worse because he's a king. Okay. And then as his host, I'm also his host. He's under my protection. I should shut against his murderer. Shut the door. So there's syntax. Not bear the knife myself. He's under my protection. I accepted him in my home as a guest. most cultures throughout the whole world, or earlier versions of those cultures, have had very serious hospitality rules or laws or practices, where if someone seeks refuge in your house, you must accept and you must protect them, and you must give them food. This turns into the modern day, like when you go over someone's house and they made a home-cooked meal, they keep stuffing food on your plate. Have more, have more. You take care of your guests. So I'm breaking this ancient law of you take care of the people under your protection that are sleeping in your house. And on top of that, he has borne his faculties so meek, he has been so clear in his great office, he has been a really good king. His virtues would plead like angels, like he would clearly go to heaven if he died. He's been a really good king. Pity is like a newborn babe. Trembling hearts, corners of the air, the horrid deed in every eye. So this would be so terrible a thing for me to do that heaven itself, or things in heaven would cry out and blow the horrid deed in every eye, and the tears shall drown the wind, and there'll be so much crying that there'll be a flood. So that's how he knows how terrible this action is. There will be so much crying from it that there will be a flood. Then he says, I have no spur. Again, remember, a spur, it's like the spiky thing on the back of a cowboy's heel. Prick the side of a horse to make it go faster. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition. Vaulting is to jump. The only thing I have here, I'm not evil, I'm not wicked, I don't hate the king, I don't really, I'm not doing this for my country, I'm not doing this for my wife. All I have is ambition. That's it. Which overleaps itself and falls on the other, which might, leap so much that it falls down, my ambition. And he gets cut off. If only he could keep going. But enter Lady Macbeth. Here we go.
How now? What news?
He has almost supped. Why have you left the chamber?
Hath he asked me?
No, you not. He has.
He has almost supped. He's almost done eating. Where are you going? This looks weird. No, you not. He has. Again, syntax. And Macbeth is finally, he's going to put his foot down.
Proceed no further in this business.
We will proceed no further in this business. It is done. It is over. I have decided we're not doing this.
Hath honoured me of late, and I have bought golden opinions from all sorts of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon.
What's the...
He's honored me of late. I've got golden opinions from all sorts of people. Everyone likes him. He's a good king, and I'm not going to cast that all aside. We're done. We will not proceed. We will proceed no further in this business.
Hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself. Hath it slept since? And wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely?
So that hope you had before, was that drunk? And now it's slept, and now your hope is hung over, and it's not really willing to be a hope anymore? Is that what happened? Because, hours ago, you're like, let's do this, and now you're like, oh, I'm not in the mood.
From this time such I account thy love. Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valour as thou art in desire? Wouldst...
Art thou afeard, their syntax, thou art afeard, you're afraid, to be the same in your own act and valor as thou art in desire. So, here's one of the lines where I've heard different people explain it differently. And I'm the kind of person, when I'm reading Shakespeare, I will generally always defer onto the side of the dirty joke. Because why not? So when she says, to be the same in act and valor as that will and desire. So, you're very powerful in act and valor. You're like an awesome fighter on the battlefield. You're great with the sword. You're feared on the battlefield. Can you be the same way in your desire? Are you afraid to have your desire reach that level? Okay, so let's think. Okay, valor is on the battlefield. Where do you generally have desire? Where do you have a lust? Probably the bedroom. Oh. So you can act like this on the battlefield, but you can't act like this outside of the battlefield. Perhaps hinting at something. And we'll get more about that shortly. Oops. Alright. I accidentally scrolled. Let's go right here.
Have that which thou esteem'st the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat of the adage.
So, you wouldn't have the ornament of life, the crown, because you'd be a coward.
The peace. I dare do all that may become a man who dares do more is none.
What?
Hey, I do plenty. I'm as man as it gets. Alright, well, if you're a man, then...
What's then that made you break this enterprise to me?
Well, men don't break promises. They don't break their enterprises. So what beast made that happen then, if it wasn't a man?
When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man.
And to do this, you would be so much more the man. Might be where the phrase, the man, comes from. You'd be the man.
Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you.
Their fitness unmakes you? Like, this makes you less of a man to go back on your promise. So she has like this hierarchy of what makes a man. It's not being virtuous and all this other stuff. It's keeping promises. She's actually trying to play the guilt trip on him. And now, for one of the weirdest sets of lines in the entire play.
I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out had I so sworn as you have done to this.
Okay. Yeah, that says a lot of exactly what you think it sells. What you think to yourself. I have given suck. I once breastfed. Okay, so some backstory. And this is not in Macbeth, this is in historical documents. So Macbeth was based off of history. A lot of this stuff kind of sort of happened in the real world in the past. Lady Macbeth, this is not her first marriage. This is at least her second marriage. So she was married to a previous king. So she knows what it's like to be queen. So this isn't just her climbing up the ladder, this is her getting back to the top of the ladder. But on top of that, she has also been a mother. And one of the sources says that her husband, the former king, and her child were both murdered. So, just the way things work, if you kill the king, you have to kill his male heir so no one can get revenge against you. So, she was once a mother. So she says, I've given suck. I know how tender it is to love the babe that milks me. I know what it's like to breastfeed a child. I would, while it were smiling in my face, while the baby was right there, giggling, have plucked the nipple from his boneless gums. Boneless is teethless. I would have taken him right off of breastfeeding and dashed the brains out. Taken his brains and taken his head and smashed it on the wall so the guts splattered out. I would do that had I so sworn as you have done this to me. If I had promised that I would murder my baby for you, I would have done it. And I know what it's like to love a baby. So don't you break your promise to me, because I'd murder my own baby over if I promised. So this is no big deal. Oh wow, she's totally guilt-tripping him. Okay? And then he says something, she cuts him off, and she just keeps going.
If we should fail...
We fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place and we'll not fail.
So here's another line that I've heard multiple meanings of. So screw your courage to the sticking place, that is probably a reference to a crossbow. But I heard someone else say that, oh no, this is on the download dirty joke. Screw your courage to the sticking place and will not fail. We wouldn't fail if your courage could get to the sticking place, can get to the place where it can be stuck. She might be talking about his performance in bed. Like, you can't stick it where it needs to be stuck. Why don't they have kids right now? If she clearly has had a kid, so she's capable, why doesn't she have a kid now? Huh. Maybe that's it. She's literally coming after his malability to perform.
When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journeys soundly invite him, his two chamberlains will I with wine.
Oh, so here's the plan. when Duncan is asleep. His two chamberlains who used to sleep outside of the chamber, like to guard.
And wassail so convinced that
I with wine and wassail so convinced, so there's a syntax there. I will convince him with wine and wassail, so wassail is like singing, sweet talking, persuading, flirting, something like that. So I will seduce his men and get them drunk.
memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume.
Shall be a fume. Yeah, I'll make sure they don't remember anything. So she'll say later in the play that the wine is spiked wine. It has extra drugs in it to knock them out.
Receipt of reason, a limbic only. When in swinish sleep their drenched natures lies as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan?
So when they're asleep, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? Hey, when his guards are asleep, we can do whatever we want on the unguarded Duncan, on the king.
What not put upon his spongy officers who shall bear the guilt of our great quill?
And we can put the guilt upon his spongy officers, his officers that have absorbed the liquid. So yeah, we can blame them. And I accidentally clicked. There we go.
Forth men, children only, for thy undaunted metal should compose nothing but males.
So, bring forth men, children only. That's a weird line. Men, children only. Bring forth, that means to give birth to. You give birth to men, children only. When you give birth to a child, men pop out. I think he might be talking about himself. Like the mother and the drink my bitterest gall, that kind of stuff. I think he means like, you've like birthed me into a man. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber and used their very daggers, that they have done it.
Mark them with blood. So yeah, we'll take the bloody daggers we used to kill the king. We'll take their daggers and mark them, paint them with the blood from their daggers that we used to kill the king, so it'll make it look like we did it. Mark is pay attention to, or to cover, like a marker marks things.
Receive it, other, as we shall make our griefs and clamour roar upon his death.
We'll make our griefs and clamour roar upon his death. We'll be dramatic. No, king, why is he dead? Please, God, no.
Settled. And bend up each corporal agent to this terrible feat.
I'm settled to this terrible feat. I'm decided. You convinced me.
Away, and mock the time with fairest show. False face must hide what the false heart doth know.
False face must hide what the false heart doth know. So, alright, we're going to do it. And this is kind of a pun, kind of double meaning here. False face must hide what the false heart doth know. I must have a false face. I must lie. I must be a good actor. To hide what the false heart doth know. I have a false heart. I have a defective heart. Like my morals are defective. So I must have a false face, a lying face, to hide my false heart, my defective heart. Yeah, and that's it. That ends Act 1. See you in Act 2.